Yo, it's your boy Rush back at it again like I never left. Rush Enterprise. If you're in the state of New Jersey, you need some armed guards or unarmed guards, just give me a call on my business line because I'm the plug. It's 978-558-4659. That's 973-558-4659. Today, I got a few special guests with me today. It's going to be an ill panel. You know what I mean? And about to
Sir.
get it in, you're all
Yeah.
right. Everybody know the premise of the show, whatever. So, pretty much, um, we're gonna be like the tribunal. We're gonna talk about like few individuals that probably committed some crimes or did something unethical, and we're gonna choose whether or not to get sent into the phantom zone or not. You're
Okay.
all right.
Word up.
Yo, our first culprit will be a dude named Daniel Penny. He choked a man to death. You know what I'm saying? At
Mm.
the subway or whatever. And I kind of want to expound on the situation or whatever, and see if it's a criminal act or whatever, or if it was something that's accidental. Um, you know
Mm.
what I mean? I guess we can start with Mr. Best, man. Talk to me, man. What's your thoughts on the situation?
That definitely is a criminal act, and I don't know the logistics of the act. I would love to definitely dive in and find out the parameters of why this happened. That's definitely a criminal act.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it was in self defense. If not, then yeah, he definitely deserves to be, what I mean, thrown to the phantom zone. So yeah,
Yeah.
Rush, you muted, brother.
My bad,
Yeah.
y'all. Yeah, chaotic truth controller right now. He's saying that he
Mm.
did the work of the Lord, man. I kind of disagree with that. So, yo,
Mm-mm.
Cap, let me get your perspective on that.
Uh, looks bad. Looks bad. You know, I didn't really dive into the details, but just initially, it just looked bad. White guy, black guy. I think he had some kind of mental health concerns or something like that. They said the guy wasn't being a threat, he was just being loud. If that's true, something got to happen. I mean, I don't think if the roles were reversed, you would be able to just choke a white guy out on the subway and just walk away from it like you some kind of hero or something like that. So, you know, I think it should be thoroughly investigated. I believe in law and order. If he could make it through that, then whatever. But we definitely got to see what's going on. So,
Now, some will say that this dude
mm,
like I guess because he's a bum and he's people's gonna assume that he's pretty aggressive or whatever, and
why would
you
they
know
assume that?
they trying to say the Marine dude did it out of self defense. Aaron, man, I want to get your perspective on that.
Mm,
Talk to me.
True crime, like from everything that I've seen, and I've actually heard some commentary on it.
mm,
Um, it's a crime simply because, from what I understand, he did not approach anyone such that he created a threat.
mm,
He was loud. He was probably, like probably a disturbance, like so many other people who are on the New York subway. You see it every day. It's so common that people don't even pay attention to it. Um, the thing about whether he will be found guilty or not, or because I don't even think he was indicted by prosecution yet. Um,
mm,
but the thing about whether he could be found guilty or not truly rests on whether he can claim self-defense. And
mm,
self-defense is what you call an affirmative defense. So he's going to have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt that he acted reasonably based on the circumstances and that he was in defense of others and in defense of his own life and safety.
mm,
And there's a lot of camera footage. And so the interesting thing is that if there's just people taping, nobody else got up to defend, Nobody else made a big ruckus. Nobody else put him in a chokehold or held his feet. If he was such a menace, why did he hold his feet in his hands? You got one person holding his neck. Mind you, a specially trained person. He's a Marine, and we all know Marines have more specialized training. So he knows how to kill with his bare hands. So he actually has a different set of skills. That's like somebody being like a cop. You can't just go around shooting people just because you're allowed to carry a gun because you have specialized training to carry a gun. You know, so I think, I mean, if this guy gets away with this, it's a travesty. And I would be absolutely disgusted, just like I have been with all these other like cop involved issues. And ironically, we're talking about this, I think, a day after the 3-year George Floyd anniversary.
Yeah, I think it is a horrible thing by that Marine killing an innocent man. But you know, some people would say that, you know, because he's a homeless guy, like, you know, they kind of going to say that he did the right thing because,
Why?
you know, because there's a stigma of a homeless man. You know, people don't care about homeless people. You know.
Does that make it right?
No, it's not right. I'm not saying this right. I mean, the nigga need to be in the phantom zone. Know what I mean, like, he needs to get banished. Know what I mean?
I mean, there's so many homeless people in New York that it's not like a one-off thing. Like, say, homeless people in Phoenix. You know, like homelessness and like just being unhoused in general is a big deal here. And I think, I mean, it speaks to our humanity. Like, if we really just disregard people because they're unhoused. And the ironic thing is, you have people who actually work. They don't make much. They work. They're on government assistance, and they don't have a place to live. And especially in New York, where everything is expensive.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. You know, to factor in the I guess the economics out there. You know, like, it will cause a lot of homeless people. You know what I mean, in the streets of New York. And you know, the subways in the streets of New York, it's not that safe. You know, a lot of violent activity goes on in them subways too. So, you know, they might factor that in too. You know, Shushu, I want to get your perspective on this.
Yeah. So first thing I want to say is, I think people are hypersensitive when they try and make it like a racial issue because I don't think it had anything to do with race. Because I live here in New York City too, and to say that he wasn't a threat, you do have a lot of homeless people out here. Let me say that. Yeah, you do have a lot of them with like for real, serious, severe mental issues. And I ain't talking about that man crazy. No, like they full out, all out crazy. Like they talking to somebody that is physically not there, but they looking at some thin air, just having a full out conversation. Like they got serious issues. And not for nothing, I've been on the train, and some of these people get on there and they can be pretty aggressive. They get upset, they get being not on their meds. I've seen them get in people's faces and stuff like that. And even though they haven't like hit you or actually like done anything to you physically, they get in your space and stuff like that. And technically, that's not an assault, that's not an anything, you know what I'm saying? And one can make the argument that's not a threat because they didn't put their hands on you. You see what I'm saying? So if I wasn't there, but I also do ride the train every day, so I do understand that could possibly be a factor. And you never know. Maybe I don't know how aggressive the dude was, or how crazy he was acting, but one could get offended. I mean, could feel threatened by that. So I mean, but at the end of the day, I think it's sad and it's unfortunate that the man lost his life. I don't think that he should have lost his life behind it. And the fact that there were two other people, like one guy was holding his hands and the other guy was like, trying to help hold him down. That says he was doing something. You know what I mean? It's not like he was just rah, and he was doing something. And the fact that nobody else like really. They said he had the man in the chokehold for 15 minutes. Anybody who take the train, you know how many stops a train makes in 15 minutes? and they was on a local train. I think they was on the F train or something like that. They was on a local train. Local trains make more frequent stops. A local train in 15 minutes can make anywhere between 10 to 12 stops. You mean to tell me in the 10 to 12 stops, nobody notified the train workers? And I gotta give NYPD their credit. NYPD have been out, like, certain stations and stuff like that. They in the station. The conductors that would even make an announcement. If you need, police assistance, police are on the platforms. Nobody at any time stopped to say, hey, somebody on here need help. You understand what I'm saying? So that right there, either I don't know, maybe people were just like, I ain't got time for this today, because New Yorkers the craziest things happen on the train, and because people are so used to it, they will sit there and pretend like it's not going on and be oblivious to it. The most ridiculous stuff. Long story short, I think it's sad the man lost his life. But I mean, I don't know. It's just sad the man lost his life. But I don't think it was a racial issue. All this other stuff they trying to paint out. I think it's just embellishment. But the bottom line is, I mean, he got to get charged because the man lost his life. But it speaks to the fact that the city taking in all these, immigrants and stuff like that, when they have people right here in the city sleeping on the streets, and ain't found nowhere for them to live. It speaks to a lot of the fact that the city need to step up and do more for the people who are here already. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I was saying, like, like nobody cares about homeless people, man. You know what I mean? Like you said, 15 stops. Nobody interjected to try to stop the dude from out of here.
Nobody said nothing. Like, seriously? And then on top of that,
are we sure that's what happened? That nobody was notified?
At least 15. Hold on. For him to have the man in the headlock at least 15 minutes, that means nobody said anything.
Nobody who? Like somebody with authority to do something? No, I'm trying to...
What I'm saying, for 15 minutes, nobody notified the train conductor. Nobody stepped off and said, hey, on just at a random stop. Because I said,
that's what I'm saying. Do we know that?
Nobody, I mean, for him, 30, 40 minutes. And I mean, I've been on the train and people jumped in front of it. And granted, somebody is either seriously injured or has lost their lives, but still, what you hear is this, man, now I'm going to be late. No regard for the fact that somebody, had to be at their lowest point. I mean, because to say I'm going to jump in front of this train and end my life, first of all, that's a horrible frame of mind.
But it's their own life.
Yeah.
It's not somebody else's life.
What I'm saying is, like, there's no regard for human life. Like, they're not thinking about that person and that person's, like, the mindset they were in or anything. There's no compassion for the person that lost their life. You know what I mean? All they're thinking about right now is, I'm inconvenienced. So to bring it back to the whole incident that happened on the train with the Marine strangling him. Okay, if I'm going to pretend like this not happening. So because I got to get to work. That's their main concern. I got to get to work, or I got to get to class, or I got to get to where I'm going. I ain't got time for this. Because if I stop and tell somebody, hey, this man needs help, guess what? This train and this whole train line is derailed for the next hour. And now I got to call my boss and tell him, hey, I'm going to be late. And ain't no time how many times I done been late. So you never know. You might be on your last time. Hey, listen, I can't be late no more. I'm going to lose my job today. I ain't got time for this. I'm going to let them fools handle it. You know, that's the mentality of a lot of New Yorkers. It's sad. It's sad. I even heard one of the interviews, because they was interviewing one of the guys that was on the train during when it happened. He was like, oh, well, the incident was going on, but nobody thought he was going to lose his life.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
the whole thing was, that's part of it too. The whole attitude is, I'm not about to mess up my day for this. Let them have it.
I mean, it's like, you're right. You got to factor in that, maybe some people have been late for work and they maybe saw him getting choked out, but ignored it
Listen,
because
I've
they
been
want to
on the
make it on
train
time to
station one
work.
time. I saw this dude, like he was like right on the edge of the platform, like where the platform, like before you jump into the with the rails of like of the train, and you can see the lights of the train coming into the station. I was on my last leg. I had one more time to be late. It was lights out for my job. And I was one stop away from where I had to go. Please believe I saw them lights coming. And he looked like he was still edging up. He had a book bag on his back. I snatched his book bag back over there. I said, not in front of this one. Not in front of this one. And he had this look on his face like, what? Like, I'm sorry, sir. You were a little close. You were a little close. I got one stop. Not today.
Well,
I don't know if he was going to do it or not, but either way, not in front of this one. I got to get to work.
well, I can sympathize with people wanting to get to work, but I can say that I rode public transportation for a long time, city bus, Broward County. You encounter a lot of people from the unhoused community that might be loud, might be a little bit unhinged or whatever. You gotta you gotta do more than that to prove that you were justified in taking a man's life. When you bring up mental health, most people who suffer from mental health concerns are not violent, so that really shouldn't even be a factor. You know, I would be more concerned about guys in the military, to be honest with you. There's more of a history of young white males acting out in violence than maybe a mental health people, if we wanted to make assumptions about groups of people, in America right now.
Well, I mean, we want to
So
put out, a stat. A lot of those homeless people are homeless vets.
could be, but he's
So,
not.
yeah,
That
he
didn't
was
come up.
right.
So, by the way, if he didn't mean to do it, then maybe he might could skate by with a little manslaughter or something. But we got to hold his ass accountable. I wouldn't assume that he was in threat of his life because he checked about it. I didn't hear nothing of that sort. I heard something about him having mental health concerns. I heard he likes to dance. Heard anybody getting loud. I didn't heard about him hitting anybody. If anybody gets loud or gets a little unruly, I don't see how that justifies you choking them out. If it was an accident, all right, come get this man slaughtered. But
All right, go ahead, chaotic. Go ahead, go ahead.
For the past 15 minutes, Rush, all I've been hearing is blah, 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 blah. You black Americans kill me with your bullshit. You Negroes know. You wealthy Negroes who live in the wealthiest country on the planet know that the hood in the black community ain't never cared about no goddamn dope fiends, no goddamn crazy people. We gotta stop this pretending. I grew up in the 90s. People used to make fun of the dope fiends. People used to pimp out the dope fiend females. You Negroes killed me. Used to make fun of them. Used to exploit them. Now, had that boy Jordan Neely had walked up on Ja, who's about 6 foot plus, and was talking crazy, Ja would have knocked his teeth out his damn throat. And everybody on this panel would have been laughing. You should have did that. Had Jordan Neely walked up on Rush, who could probably run tackle right now for the Browns, and slammed him, shoo, Aaron will be laughing. And all of us will be laughing. We saw a white boy choking out a black dude, and that's what it is about. We don't like when white people whoop black people's asses. See, let this have been 1992. I'm going to go back in time for a minute before a lot of you guys were born. I applaud the LAPD for Rodney King's beating. He needed that. This fool was a career criminal, speeding up and down the damn street. It could have been a beautiful black family he could have killed. Now, if a black police officer would have beat him within an inch of his life, we would have said, damn, you know what? He kind of deserved it. But because it was some white boys, it was a racist incident. No, not in my opinion. So with this incident with Jordan Neely, it's an incident of eugenics, and it's an incident of some black people don't need to be here. And Jordan Neely, unfortunately, was one of those blacks. I hate to say it, man. Darwinism worked at its best that damn day. He was a career, I don't know if he was a career criminal in the sense of violent crime, but he did assault a 67-year-old woman. He was arrested.
Mm.
He was supposedly he pushed or attempted to push somebody in front of some train tracks. And he had a host of other incidents involving violence on those trains.
Mm.
I'm gonna land a plane, Rush. Fuck him. Go ahead. Go ahead. You got the floor. Go ahead, Rush. Go ahead.
Yo, Hank, man, I want your perspective, man. You haven't said nothing yet, so I want to hear this.
I really don't know too much about the situation,
Mm.
but I mean, my man said he doesn't know about anybody with mental issues that get violent. That's not true. I mean, I don't know if you
Go ahead.
ever been around some before. Part of the internship I did in college, Home of Innocence is what it was called, and these wasn't even grown adults. These was young boys between 16 and 18. Well, really 13, as young as 13, but all the way up to 18 before they ship them off. And a lot of them had them mental issues that people talk about. A lot of them with autism. Uh, just a lot of them was, you know, babies who was came out of the womb strung out on drugs. It's just unfortunate. So, do they get violent? Yeah, they get violent. Look, sometimes the way they jerk and move, sometimes it you could take that as a sense of violent, a violent type move, because all of a sudden you just sitting there calmly, all of a sudden they just jump up, start jump around, swinging like they had a bad nightmare. So yeah, they get violent. So, but with this situation, other people had to hold him down at the same time while my man was choking him. Something had to happen. And if what Chaotic is saying is true, that he has a violent history, I mean, damn. I mean, it's hard to defend that. If I don't know.
Do you think by the Marine choking out the homeless man, do you think it was motivated by racism, or it was just a natural reaction for him to choke the guy out the way he did?
I mean, shit, that Marine might have had a flashback for all we know. You know, PTSD is real for them, so they suffer from that too. So I wouldn't be. I don't think it was about race. I don't think it was. You know, I just think he just reacted. You know, he just seen this man maybe jerking and acting crazy and maybe jumping in people's faces. They just like Shoo Shoo said, they may ignore it, don't pay it attention, and it's nothing to them because they used to him. But all of a sudden, you got this Marine who little thing could just set him off, and we know a lot of them are sensitive to noise anyway. You know, so maybe that was it, and he just reacted.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a natural reaction, but I think he went too far by killing them, because the way he choked them out, his body was limp, like you would have some type of contest, you know what I mean, to let loose and let him get some breathing room, you know what I mean, and I think that's why I think he wrong for that, you know what I mean, definitely wrong for that. He should do some time, man. Do y'all think he gonna do some real time, or he gonna get out soon?
It's a
Go ahead,
fall.
chaotic. Go
Yes,
ahead.
political.
If they prove what Chaotic said, and he has a history of violence, I don't know. I don't know about a lot of time. Maybe 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, it's gonna get political. We live in a climate of supposedly racism that is being manufactured by the left or liberal individuals. We have a sitting president who doesn't know his name and his age right now. We have a horrible administration right now in office, and
Damn.
they're going to do whatever it takes to remain in office. So they're going to use this event, possibly, or the media is going to use this event to get the black vote. This is all manufactured here, this story. And it came up at the right time. So they're going to, of course, the media has a way of creating race stories, right? The media can create, hey, the media can make me look like a monster. I'm 5 foot, ... They could make me look like I'm a monster if they wanted to. So it's the same thing with this beautiful Marine, this soldier who was a hero in my book. Oh, of course he's beautiful. He's the reason why
Interesting choice.
He's providing for my freedom. He's a hero. And what? Oh, I'm sorry. We want to goose and giggle. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go on mute so we can just laugh all day. But here goes the thing: laugh all you want, but think about this. You live in a country where you get shamed for being patriotic. You get shamed for saying they need to close that damn border. And think about this. What perfect scenario to set up a Marine and say he's the bad guy. They want to defund the police. They want to disrespect the military. They want to open the borders for all these third world people in Mexico and other these poor countries coming up in here, destroying their cities. So this is a perfect ploy. So they're going to probably charge him with manslaughter and sentence him to 5 years, like Hank said, because he is going to be the scapegoat. Because I really believe the liberals want to truly destroy this country for some reason. And all the while, China and other countries are just massing up their armies and navies and all this. And we're just sitting back laughing at chaotic. But you know what, though? While you guys are laughing at me, watch what's going to happen in 5 years. You literally have police now who refuse to go to certain calls now. Because you know why? If I go to this call, this might be my last beat because I might get charged. Because I might arrest the black person a certain way and I might go to the penitentiary. I ain't going to that call. Watch what's going to happen. A lot of these cities are being destroyed by these liberals, but keep on laughing at me. I know I'm the crazy one, right? But watch who's going to be crazy in 5 years. Go ahead, guys.
I just want to say, so when they say those myths about like liberal cities and stuff like that, I think there's some truth to what you're saying. The media creates a lot of that. There's more violent crime in Kansas City than there is in New York City. More violent crime in Ohio than there is in New York, but the way that they market it, New York is such
I know what part of the city you talking about. Little Rock? No, that's Arkansas.
No, I'm just saying if you look up the numbers.
No,
you're more. I'm just saying, and
the most else. The top: St. Louis, Missouri, number 1. Okay. Detroit, Michigan, number 2. Baltimore, number 3. Tennessee, number 4.
Where are those numbers coming from?
These numbers are coming from the Census Bureau, sir. These numbers come from the FBI, BCI statistics, and the Census Bureau. The most violent cities in America are liberal cities. I get what you're coming from, but the most violent cities are liberal cities. New York being one of them. So you can look at this is the FBI, BCI stats and Census Bureau. So all you got to do is look it up yourself.
Yeah.
Hey, remember they're also the richest. They're also the most educated. Let's also
because of white
that
people.
In there. Are you serious?
Yeah, because of white folks.
But listen. You gotta kind of get to put those numbers on the sliding scale. The reason why I say this is because
is Memphis a liberal city? Like Memphis is number 2 on there.
Yeah, and you gotta remember like the population differences too. So you
politicizing it. You know,
Memphis, Tennessee is a very
literally no one. You're right, John. No one brought up any.
Memphis, Tennessee is a very liberal city. The DA is liberal. The judges are Democrats.
That's what I'm trying to say. You could always slice it. You could say that it's liberal or it just
like a political football.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, the state is red.
The state may be red, but the city in that state, the most violent city.
But the city is this small when it comes to the entire state.
But the city, if you look at the city's crime numbers, they outweigh the rest of the entire state. That's all you got to do.
I don't know about that.
All right, you can look it up yourself. It's not me. All
I
right.
know, but now I'm in a position I have to look it up. It's not like you presented it with evidence that we could both agree on. I gotta look it
Okay.
up now. That's
How about
like
this,
that
Ja?
little trick.
Ja, how about this?
I think we're like off on a tangent.
Let's look at a
we
beautiful.
are.
Let's look at a beautiful white state in like Utah. Beautiful white state. Salt Lake City. How come they don't have an astronomical murder rate? Maybe, or an astronomical crime or robbery.
They have a lot of child rape though. A lot of pedophilia.
Again, I don't know if they do or don't. All I do know is
but they do. You can look that up.
I don't know if they do or don't. I'm gonna take your word for it. But what I do know is this: wherever whites are at in mass, it's like heaven. Go ahead, guys. I'm going to go on mute.
Oh, poor soul.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you guys go. Go ahead. I'm talking too much. Go ahead.
Nah, keep going, chaotic. Keep going.
The most important thing here is we need to actually like stay on topic. Like no one brought in the politics of it until this gentleman did.
We are trying to stay off the way.
What we're looking at is whether something is a crime or not. And at the end of the day, the serviceman has specialized training to kill with his hands. It's a very different standard. It would be different if someone else on that train had actually done that. The standards are different. It's just like when you're a boxer. You can't just get in a fight all willy-nilly. Your hands are weapons.
You're right.
Your
weapons,
Your hands are insured. Your hands are your livelihood. You have specialized training. Like
what insurance?
There's nothing political about this. It's the fact that this guy was trying to be a hero. He did too much and he crossed the line. Like it's really that simple. I don't think it has nothing to do with the gentleman being black. I think that he would have done it to anybody. He would do it to an Arab person, an Asian person, a white person, a Hispanic person.
Yeah.
Like I think he would have done it to anybody.
Yeah, but he's no longer currently active in the military, was it?
No.
So he's no longer. How's he still considered a deadly weapon? Just because I was trained doesn't mean I'm a deadly weapon.
That's just like saying.
Just because I was trained doesn't mean I'm a deadly weapon. If I'm no longer in that field anymore, that's different.
That's like saying when you retire from being a doctor, you no longer have the aptitude and the ability to
like Mayweather's hands ain't registered no more. Like,
right.
You're no longer doing that. You're no longer doing the profession. So you're no longer under the umbrella of saying, well, he's a legal weapon just because he was trained.
Can I ask a question?
I didn't say he was a legal weapon. I said he possesses specialized training.
Okay, so if I specialize in karate when I was a kid, so am I considered a weapon?
Even do you have specialized training with credentials behind that? Were you?
Yeah, I gained a brown belt. I mean,
and what level is brown?
High. In karate is high.
I mean, I don't know. I've never taken martial arts.
Okay.
Can I ask a question real quick? Can I ask a question? I trained in jiu-jitsu, and I really did. And I knew, and I have friends, especially in college, I have two friends who are actual boxers. Now this is what you said, Aaron, and salute to you, Aaron. What insurance company insures boxers? I'm curious because that's what you said. So
it's called Lloyd's. It's called Lloyd's, and you can look it up right now.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up.
Hold on, like that.
Wait a minute.
People do insure, like boxers do insure their
surgeons insure their hands.
Okay, so and then John at the bottom said that boxers are.
You can't be serious, my guy.
Who are you registering? Who do you register with? Because I never knew any boxers.
What does that insurance matter anymore?
What is the insurance for? Because I'm like, what are they insured for?
I said I'm done with being a doctor. I'm tired of it. I want to go into a different profession. I want to be a teacher.
Well, I mean,
is that a doctor?
But if you ever get like in a some kind of case that, like, say if a doctor would get in a case where like he gave his friend or somebody like some prescription medication that he had on him, and his friend dies from it. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, of course, they bring him to court. They're going to take into consideration the fact that he practiced medicine. or he has
What
a
cases
license.
were these?
Even if he's not licensed anymore,
Can you
even
name
if
the
he
case?
don't practice anymore,
Can
that's
you name
going
the
to be
case?
brought up in the case. And
Can you
I
name
even
the
do you
case?
one better. I even do you one better. You ain't got to be trained in any kind of self-defense or anything. It's just taking on like a everyday average person level. Chaotic. Hold your hands up, please.
Can you name the case?
Okay, so Chaotic, if you were to get into an altercation with a guy and you were to hit him with your right hand, like then you could claim like self-defense and the charges would be less severe. But if you were to hit him with your left hand, then they will up the charges.
Shoo.
You know why? It's because you have a ring on your finger, and that ring is considered a weapon.
Shoo. You guys are smart.
That causes more trauma.
Hold on.
So, like, I mean, it's validity to that. Like,
you
all
guys
that comes up.
You guys are smart. Can you name me a case in recorded history where a boxer who was not boxing got into a street fight and the jury or the judge says, or the prosecution said, you know what, you were a boxer, your hands are registered, you were gonna up the charges? What case is that? Because I'm curious because I never knew this. What case is that?
I gotta go back and look at it, but I think
use Chat GPT. Maybe Chat GPT.
Jack Johnson, he had got into something with
Jack Johnson
with that. I know he had gotten it's like a serious case he had got in.
Do you know who Jack Johnson is?
Yeah.
He lived 120 years ago. I don't know. I don't know. I never heard this case before. I'd never heard this before.
You know what? Just for you, Chaotic, I'm gonna go and look it up.
Yeah, use Chat GPT real quick. You
see, we're getting so far away from a man getting choked out. We haven't proven that this man was a threat, that he had a weapon or anything like that. We're talking about boxers getting a hands registered. We're talking about liberal states. Nobody could. You know why you gotta start reaching like that?
I do one better, John.
Case that this guy was a real threat.
Okay, well, how this is how we bring it back to
was his hands. Because he was military trained.
Right, exactly.
She accused his hands of being weapons because he was military trained.
Right.
Well, shouldn't we hold military veterans to a higher standard if he's trained?
No.
You don't think so?
If you're no longer in the military, no, you shouldn't. Why? Why should we hold him to higher standards?
Because like there's something called muscle memory and all the things you learn through training. You still have the ability to kill somebody.
I whoop a man's ass, even though I had self-defense training, and my son has and he whoops a young man's ass because the dude was coming at him. He wanted to fight him. My son obliged him. Y'all gonna charge him in a different way than somebody like Ja who may not have special training? He get a different charge than me? Because I learned self-defense and he didn't.
But it seems like we're switching it. Do we know that this guy came at somebody in a threatening manner? So far, all I heard that he was yelling, he's homeless, all that stuff, but nothing about him actually doing something to somebody. I heard the yelling, the throwing of trash. Did somebody get hit with trash? Did he choke somebody out?
I don't know.
You know, and another thing I wanted to address,
but if
when
he
you bring up he has a violent past,
if he shows a potential to be violent, right then and there, that's gonna sway my man's way. Who the Marine who did choke out, the military dude who did choke him out. If he shows
I have clarification on that point. It says that there were 4 alleged assaults, so he was never charged.
Yeah, and I just want to say, if we're going to judge, if you go into a courtroom, right, you can't bring up violent accounts from other situations because you will judge somebody based on their character instead of that one incident, right? You might say that this is a violent guy, he must have did it, or he got away with other stuff. When you in court, you can't bring up other stuff from the past. We're talking about this one instance in the subway. You're going to have to prove that this guy made you in fear of your life or was so much of a threat that it was justified to choke him for 15 minutes with other people holding him down.
That boils down to whatever lawyer the Marine has.
Of violence.
Right. If the Marine gets a good enough lawyer,
can I correct?
He'll be able to pull something out of his behind. They do it.
Guys, can I correct Aaron real quick? Jordan Neely was charged with assault on 2 separate occasions. Neely pleaded guilty to both charges and was sentenced to 6 months in jail. I just want to correct you.
Well, hold on.
I just want to correct you.
Let me correct you. Hold on.
Yeah. Because I used to work in law enforcement, so I researched and I did a show on it on my channel. So yeah. And he tried to push somebody into the train track. Yeah. And let's be honest, Aaron, if he'd have walked up to you and asked you for $2, you would have told him to get the F out your face. Come on, stop it. You look like the type.
No, I would just walk away.
So do you, Shoo. You look like the type.
Listen,
get on my face. You a bum.
I gotta get a man credit. He was a street performer, and he was good. So at least he worked for the change he asked for. Okay.
Shoo,
He the man for credit guy.
Shoo, if he'd have walked up to you to get your iPhone 15 out and said, "I'm about to call the police on you. Get away from me." You look like the type, Shoo. No offense.
No. Shoo, you got the 15 already?
Listen. I'm not trying to make fun of the man's death. All life is precious, I guess, right? But the fact is that you got, certain people on this panel. It's a proximity thing. It's because he's black and it was a white guy. But what I'm saying is that the guy had a history, and witnesses say he was bothering people on the train. I'm not from New York, but if I'm in an enclosed area, somebody on the train talking crazy, walking up to me, I would hope that somebody would step in too. Now,
that's the thing. You don't live in New York. You don't ride public transportation in New York.
Aaron, you're in New York, right? Remember, like a few months ago, there was this beautiful white couple on the bus, and on a train, and they had their son with them. And there was this crazy black Negro, and he was cussing at them on the train. What about that situation? Remember?
Never heard of it. Did you hear about his choo-choo?
No.
He was all in their face, calling them white monkeys, threatening them, and they had the boy had to be like 1 year old, and it was a white guy and a beautiful white woman there. So, Rush, you know about this story. I did a show.
He said a beautiful white woman.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, we know white women are salt of the earth. I don't even get on. Well, let's stop. Come on, man. Let's stop that. That's the salt of the earth. Let's stop. Go ahead.
He referred to Jordan Neely as beautiful too. I see what's going on here. Chaotic truth. Every time he referred to, I'm trying not to make it racial, but when you refer to white people, they beautiful. But
let's be honest. When
handles black man, it's like he dirty.
Generally speaking, I don't want to go off topic, but generally speaking, when that's why we move in their neighborhoods, send our kids to their private school because they have beautiful environments. They're a beautiful culture, man. Let's be honest, man. Come on, man. Let's be honest. Shoo, stop.
Can't argue with that.
Oh man,
Erin don't look like she agrees with that. You want to hit Chaotic with a rebuttal?
No, I mean I feel sorry for him. Honestly.
Hold on. I mean, was y'all doing some research? I mean, again, if this man has showed violent past, dude, who's to say he didn't do it again?
Yeah, but here's the problem. There's no actual footage of what happened on the train.
That would help.
There is footage.
A bunch of testimony.
Like a lot of witnesses, though.
No, there's footage. There's actually multiple. They're going to have to subpoena the people in order. I mean, they can ask, but they're going to subpoena the people to get the footage and the testimony.
So you talking about the footage that happened before they got him chokeholds on him? Because I think that was part of the issue. They don't have footage that shows what led up to the incident. So
I thought you meant of the actual.
Because that's the problem he's having with proving that it's self-defense, because they don't have any evidence of what happened leading up to it. So all they have to go off of is you just choking a man.
But the people are going to testify. They're going to get subpoenaed for a grand jury, and they're going to testify, and they're going to use that information to determine whether Jordan Neely did in fact do something to cause this guy to choke him and kill him.
And I doubt that they're going to be able to bring up those past incidents. And this is why I say that
they won't be able
there was a recent case with Taxstone and Troy Ave, and they couldn't bring up Banga, the aggressor in the situation. He had violent instances before that. They couldn't bring that up at the trial. That was a big.
That's what messed them up. Yeah.
Bring up his prior stuff because we got to judge this instance objectively. We can't let that cloud our judgment of him. So, at least we have a system where he's going to be able to defend himself, and they're going to have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he killed somebody, or whatever they charged with. What was it, manslaughter?
For now.
Yeah, so
Yeah, manslaughter. Yeah.
that's smaller of a burden, but they're gonna have to prove it, and he's gonna get a chance to defend himself. If he did it, I don't care. If he didn't do anything wrong, I don't have no problem with him getting off. I want y'all to know that. I don't really have like a dog in the race
Right.
like that. Like if the guy was violent and he could prove that he was acting in a threatening way and he was just trying to defend himself, I'll be the first to be like, hey man, the man should get off. But I think it's worth a trial. Can't just choke people to death and walk away and go on with your day.
Yeah, because what's stopping them from doing it again?
Good point.
And even if the bum did try to attack him, he's specially trained to defuse the situation, not to kill him. I
I
think
don't
it's
know
just he,
that.
he he went overboard with it, man.
I just think he just should have ignored him like everybody else typically does. Just ignore people. Because people get on the train, they get irate all the time because like they be asking for money and nobody reaching their pocket to give it to them, so they get upset and like he should have just said they ignored him like everybody else do.
I'm not. If he's threatening me or my family, my wife or whatever the case may be, yeah, I'm gonna end him too. I ain't got no problem with choking his goddamn ass out. I'm not gonna feel bad. You're homeless or you in a high class neighborhood, dude. You come to me with that? Yeah, I'm not gonna have sympathy for you. I'm not.
Wait a minute. So hey, you would choke him to death too?
Yes, I would have.
If his wife was threatened, I don't have a problem with that.
I would have choked his ass out. You ain't going home tonight, buddy. Not the same way you came.
But you know what? Here's something that's interesting too. Like usually when you can tell when a moment is like it's about to get like real, like physical or something like that, because it's already a build up beforehand. And so people are pulling out their phones before like there's an actual like physical altercation that happens because there's a build up. But the fact that there's no footage leading up to what happened, I don't know. That's something to think about too. Like, I don't know how it really does make you think like, well, how threatening was he then? Because nobody thought to pull out their phone because that's usually the first instinct.
That's a good point you raised. I wouldn't be surprised if some footage comes out. That's hard to believe that all those people standing around that there's no more footage that is gonna be surfaced in the future. That's just hard for me to believe.
Yeah.
All those people.
I don't know, because the only footage that they have at the moment is just the Marine holding Jordan Neely in a headlock and like that's it. But like nobody recorded anything before that.
Tricky.
Yeah. Now, depending on the attorney, the whoever the prosecutor is, like that'll if they smart, they'll bring their point up too. You mean to tell me nobody brought their camera out? I mean, how threatening was he? How irate was he then? Because you got all kind of footage of people not even fighting, but just cussing and wilding out and acting all kind of crazy. They ain't hit nobody, they ain't touched nobody. Yeah. The situation might have got heated, but people pull their phone out like, ooh. They catch that.
Now, do you think the police confiscated some of these phones and try to switch up the storyline to help out the Marine guy to get off pretty easy? Nah.
They can't take.
I don't think we have any evidence of that.
Why would they go that far? I mean, it's just he's not a high profile type situation.
He's a Marine,
That don't mean nothing. We've seen military dudes get knocked off all the time. They never stopped anything. Never changed anything. I don't think.
I don't think so. I'm curious, where are those other guys going to get charged too? I feel like if we slaughtering a pig or something and I'm holding the pig leg and you holding the pig leg and somebody chopped the pig head off, we all killed the pig, right?
Well, I know Al Sharpton was calling for them to be charged too. So.
Yeah, it seems weird. I haven't even really looked at the story, but it seems weird that he would be the only one to get charged. I mean, if they was holding them down too, might have to see about them boys as well.
Well, has my man Ben Crump, has he jumped in on the situation
He
as
did.
a Black
Yeah.
Lives Matter started rallying? Are they
No,
up there protesting?
no, they
I,
haven't
I don't
started yet.
I don't know. I think
And
Black
thank
Lives
God.
Matter is they at a
Bankrupt.
standstill right now. They going through some problems.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So it's
So
a black and white issue. You know, they love to get in them black and white issues.
now they have had protests here though. They have had protests. What was it? It wasn't last weekend, but the weekend before, I know it was like they were protesting at some of the train stations and stuff like that. And like they even had a problem with like people jumping on the train tracks, like holding up train service and stuff like that with the protests. So they've been, people have made it known.
Al
And
Sharpton
shoot
pulled
you.
up.
And you notice who was the main people protesting too? White liberals. Let's be honest, white liberals.
Well, there were black people in there too. You know what I'm saying?
How many compared
Like
to the
the
white
fight.
liberals?
How
many?
would you
how
know
many
how
com-
many white liberals was there?
I
Like
saw.
how
I did. Ja, I did an extensive video on it, sir. I
like
listen,
how are
I
you?
have a
I'm curious, how are you able to determine from looking that
Ja,
one is a white
Ja.
liberal?
Ja. A white liberal has a phenotype, right? Typically, the women are overweight, or they have purple hair, or they have an
God
excess of
damn.
lip rings. They have Bob Marley shirts on. They typically talk like, yeah, man, black people are so oppressed, man. They're like modern day hippies, and I hate them. And black people who are liberals, they have a victim mindset as well. And you can point them out too as well. So yes, they have a look to them, my good sir. Yeah, white liberals. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Black people, man. You could be a medical doctor as a black person, and a white liberal will try to convince you that you're oppressed. Yeah, man. I know you're a medical doctor, man, but slavery, man, and Jim Crow, man, and redlining, man. They always say, man. Go ahead. Shoo. I guess I'm lying, right? Do you want to bring up the footage, Shoo? No, let's not do that. Come on.
Listen, that is a stereotype. Okay.
Thank you.
That's a stereotype. So, and not all white liberals are like that. Okay. That's horrible.
Well, chaotic ain't shit.
Yeah, chaotic, man. He held. Well,
Nah, it's the truth, man. Listen, we live in the wealthiest country on the planet. I don't feel sorry for especially a white person. I don't feel sorry for nobody that's homeless or whatever. This is the wealthiest country on the planet. We have the highest GDP. We have resources in abundance. You can't starve to death in America. All that he was homeless, man, kick that. Because if you want to see homelessness, if you want to see oppression, go to Ukraine right now. Go to Sudan right now, where the government has been usurped right now, and they're going through a mini civil war. See, there's places on the planet that we couldn't even fathom the type of anarchy going on right now. America, man, the trees are made of milk and honey here. The roads are made of gold. Let's stop. And like I said before, had Jordan Neely walked past Shoo and asked her for Shoo, if he would have asked you to take him to Cat's Diner, what would you have said to him? Keep it real.
First of all, what you know about cats? Okay. First of all, you not gonna put Jordan Neely down like that, because Jordan Neely was a street performer, and he was very talented.
He would have asked.
He was very talented, so the man did work for his money. Okay. Okay. Now, granted, he clocked you when he felt like it.
If he said, "Shoo, can you take me to Cat's Diner so I can get a corned beef sandwich?" What would you have said?
I would say, "No, sir. I'm not taking myself to Cat's Diner to get no corned beef sandwich. With them sandwiches, $20 sandwiches, cool. We gonna go to this corner store right here.
I just want to interject a minute. You feel me? It's important that we stay grounded in reality. I heard Mr. Chaotic Truth say that this is the land of milk and honey and nobody starves to death. According to the CDC, 13,690 people starve to death in America per year,
and that's by choice, because more than like that's by choice. Let's be honest, that's by choice. That is by choice. Because you're an intelligent man.
Yeah.
There's a worker shortage in America. There's jobs in abundance here, And if anybody has allowing themselves, and more than likely those are children that have starved because they come from horrible families that are lazy and shiftless. This is the greatest country on the planet. You can go anywhere. You go to food pantries. You can go to churches. You can even ask people on the street for food.
Yo, hold on, yo, chaotic though. Some people would disagree with that, man. You know what I mean?
Rush, our GDP is the number one GDP on the planet. Whether people disagree or not, that is a fact.
Listen, I heard Kanye say slavery is a choice. He says starvation is a choice. That's a new one. We can't gloss over.
In
that.
America, starvation is a choice. Yes. What is stopping somebody from going into job? We have a worker shortage in America. Okay. We do. People don't want to work. I ain't about to make 15 an hour. That ain't enough. Man, there's people in Liberia who make $15 in a month. So what I'm saying is that everything in America is choices. This is the greatest country on the planet. Some cities, you could literally eat dinner off the sidewalk. Let's be honest.
I mean, have y'all ever talked to some homeless people? I mean, have y'all talked to any of them before?
Members of the unhoused community?
Unhoused. Look at you, Negroes, using liberal words now. Unhoused.
But what's the difference between homeless and unhoused? I don't.
Unhoused is a liberal. It's a liberal euphemism now. Because
but that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is just like etymology. Like, what's the difference between unhoused and then homeless?
Can I answer you?
Yeah.
I don't know the etymology of unhoused. I could guess, right?
That's the
but what I do know is this. I heard this unhoused nonsense from liberals, from the liberal media, from CNN, from liberal actors. Unhoused is a way for you to feel sympathetic. Oh, they're unhoused. Because unhoused doesn't sound like homeless. See, homeless sounds like, hey, man, get your lazy ass up there and work hard enough to do something and get shelter. But see, unhoused sounds sympathetic. And that's what liberals do, man. You got, Aaron, you're smart. You gotta listen. Who got to you, man? Because
what does me being smart have to do with asking the difference between unhoused and homeless?
Aaron, somebody has got to you. You must have a liberal family member or somebody. They're tricking you. Don't say those words, because the next thing you know, you'll be wearing a socialist shirt and you will have a Marxism sticker on your computer talking about capitalism is bad. No, it starts with words. I'm telling you, I went to a liberal college. They even got me when I was a kid. They even got me. I'm in my luxury dorm. I'm with a whole bunch of liberal white kids. They have on their $2,000 laptops, capitalism is bad. I'm like, yeah, man, it is bad, bro. I'm like, no, it's the little things like that word, unhoused. No, please eliminate it from your vocabulary. Go ahead.
Well, look, I don't know what chaotic talking about, but one of the things some of the questions I asked them, why don't some of y'all go and because some of them has skills, but they don't want to deal with the responsibilities of being an adult. Yeah, they just don't. So they got a PO box. One guy said, we got PO boxes. We get mail at our PO boxes. We rent them. We pay for them. We get our Social Security checks. Some get what you consider the crazy checks and a retirement check. But they just don't want to live and deal with the responsibility of being a responsible adult. They just don't want those pressures. They just don't want them. So instead of doing it, I could just live on the streets and be free and really don't have no consequences. People really don't pay attention to us. They just really leave us alone.
Yeah.
Only time it's a problem is if something's big going on in the city and they have a big event going on, and so now they kind of move them to this location or move them down the street to another location to keep them out of sight. So, for example, like for Derby, a lot of our downtown area, that's where they have the parties after they leave the track. They go to the downtown parties. Well, normally they stay down in the downtown area under the viaducts, under the overpasses. All of a sudden, you go a week before Derby, they're gone. The tents are gone. Tent City is gone. It's all cleared out. But I promise you this: 2 days afterwards, them tents was right back there. They did not say nothing to them. They was right back down to where they normally are. They just shift them on down the road just to keep them out of sight, out of mind. And like you said, they really don't care.
Hey guys, I gotta roll out. This has been great. Foxy, I ain't seen you in a minute, man. How you doing? But I do got a question for you, Foxy, before I roll out. And I never asked you this before, but I gotta ask you this. At the height of the light-skinned era in the 80s and the 90s, did you ever use your light-skin privilege? Keep it real.
No, I was bastardized from my light-skinnedness.
Wow. Salute to you all. Ja, was good meeting you. Aaron,
yeah, nice speaking with you.
Hank, I know I know you're coaching the little league team, but be nice to those kids, man. I know some of those kids are telling you to call them by their pronouns now. Be nice to them. Just be nice to them. I know. Yeah. Rush, salute to you. Shoo, salute to you. And let's be honest, guys. Let's stop the cap. You guys would have walked right past Jordan Neely and would have gave him a second thought. Salute to you. Our positivity's coming you guys' way. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah. Listen, if I would have saw him perform on the street, I would have put some money in his hat. How about that?
Yeah.
Yo, Foxy, you just came in, so I want your perspective.
Rush, salute, sir.
Yo, salute. How you been? It's been an L minute, I mean.
It's been a real minute.
Where I want to get your perspective on the situation with the guy choking out the homeless man. Like,
Mr. Neely, yeah. They're gonna throw this. He's been assaulting people. He's been in altercations 40 to 42 times. That's neither here nor there. When he came onto the train, he was being a little belligerent, but he wasn't assaulting anyone physically. That weekend, if those remember, in New York City, it was like almost like a hurricane kind of season. It was very rainy, very windy. I'm sure he had some issues with trying to get food and shelter. Coming into the weekday, Monday, that's prime time, rush hour. I'm sure he figured I can go ahead and get, some type of food or clothing and stuff of that nature. Now, the thing with New York City homeless / drug users that are homeless is that they can be aggressive. And when I mean aggressive is if you say, no, sir, no, ma'am, or you shake your head and you're like, no, I'm sorry, they'll suck their teeth at you. Or if you give them $1, they're like, that's all you have. They can be, yes.
The nerve.
They can very much so get a little out of hand. Also, no, I don't have a Chibalte's banner behind me, chaotic. Also, case in point, there were 3 men that could have clearly de-escalated that situation, Rush and everyone on the panel, where it didn't have to involve someone who knew military tactics to tackle this gentleman down and then keep him in a 15-minute chokehold. That's excessive. You can escalate it by moving him to the side, away from everybody, kind of cornering him, talking him down to just talking him down, not to lay him down there and then hold him in a full chokehold to where his life is de-escalated. Also, I wanted to point out before I digress that this young man, Neely, has been suffering with mental illness. He had to testify against his mother's girlfriend back in the late 90s because she was found in a suitcase, slumped up in a suitcase and put in the bedroom. And so he had to testify against that boyfriend. So Lord only knows what type of intervention and help that he received moving forward in life. So we can never judge one book by its cover. I
agree with you on that. But Hank, he thinks differently. He said if he was in that situation, he would still choke them out, And I think, that's kind of like pretty extreme,
Now, hold on now. You throwing it. You're not telling the whole truth now. I said if he was assaulting me, if he's assaulting my family or my wife or my son or my daughter or my granddaughter, yeah, I would have choked his ass. I would have had no sympathy for him. I don't look here. I'm gonna tell you right now. If you assault me in any type of way, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna give you a man, woman, or child. I'm not gonna see age because
He
now
don't
you
mean that.
stepped out of
Don't say that
place.
on camera. He
I'm
don't
gonna
mean
end.
that, y'all. He
I'm
joking.
gonna
He
end.
joking.
No, I do. I will end you because now you stepped out of a child's place. You stepped out of a woman's place if you assaulted me. Now I looked at you as a threat and an enemy. So you could try to de-escalate and talk me down. I may not hear what you have to say. Because first of all, you threatening my life. I got if I have my woman there, my son, my grandbaby, and you doing all this, and you expect me to just no, I'm not. I'm going to end you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if he does try to physically assault you, but he wasn't doing that. He was just
I,
being kind of
I agree. I agree. If
belligerent.
that's what he's going to do, and he wouldn't do it. I'm saying that's what I would have did. You should have
Yeah,
said, yeah, he ain't going to just choke him out. No, now
Yeah.
you
yeah.
got to tell him all. I said the whole
I'm,
thing. If he was to
I'm,
assault me or something like
well,
that.
I'm gonna say this, like somebody acting rude, right, or appears to be rude. Like I don't think taking his life equivalates to the bad deed that he did.
Yeah.
Like that's a bit extreme, man.
Yeah.
And I understand. You got to protect your family, but not to the point where you're making a bad call on taking somebody's life because you felt some type of way.
I
Like
don't know your intentions.
I mean,
I don't know your intentions. Your intentions can't be pure. If you see me here with a woman and a child and my 17-year-old son, I, your intentions are not pure. If you're assaulting me, assaulting my wife, or you assault my son or my grandbaby,
Mm-hmm.
your intentions are not pure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a damn what's going on. Don't you don't do that.
yeah, I mean, I understand that, but I feel you about protecting your family. I mean, now we all agree that this individual need to be sent to the Phantom Zone. I mean, so
Yeah.
our next culprit I'm gonna talk about is
Yeah.
Linda Fairstein. She was the prosecutor that prosecuted the 5 juveniles for like non consensual sexual act, and and it's called the Central Park Five. I don't know if you guys ever
Okay.
heard of that,
Yeah.
but what are your thoughts on the prosecutor Linda? Like, do you think she needs to be thrown into the Phantom Zone? Talk to me, man. You know what I mean? Hey, yo, Cap, man, come on, man. I want your perspective first. Let's go.
Well, you put me on the spot because that was a little while ago, but everything I know about that case seems pretty bad. I think there was kids being coerced into giving false testimony about uh essay, a sexual assault. And it turns out that the actual guy that did it ended up confessing, and that's the same case that we're talking about, right? Phantom Zone. Yeah. Easy. Seems easy for me. That's did you ever watch that movie with the about the Central Park Five?
I couldn't watch it, man.
Oh man.
Yo, I
Listen.
can't watch that film, man.
Listen,
Like
man.
that'll have me go
Yeah, I couldn't be on
spaz
the
out.
jury
I
for that.
mean,
Like when they're doing the jury selection, they would have to get me out of there. I'm biased. You know what I'm saying? Everybody involved with that, they need to do a little overhaul. That was a grave miscarriage of justice. God damn it. And that we shouldn't be having. We need less of that in the court system. That's kind of the problem with it. So
word out.
My question is, who is this? I don't know who this woman is.
He said she was a prosecutor, right?
Okay, she's the prosecutor that makes sure that these 5 innocent juvenile kids got locked up for something that they didn't do, and it's based on, I mean, a non-consensual sexual act. I mean, EPAR, you know.
yeah.
But she's doing a job. That's her job. Now, granted, I don't know if she got all the information. Maybe they held some back. I don't know, but she was doing her job. Now, unfortunately,
She was not doing the job
well,
because
I don't.
the culprit that actually did it was like a Mexican dude. You know what I mean?
But did she knowingly know this, have his evidence, and still went on and prosecute? I don't know. But if she
She
just,
oversaw the prosecution, though, so it all of this happened on her watch. You could go ahead.
I got that. But like I said, if she knew this evidence and still got them convicted, then I understand. But if she was just doing her job, I don't know. I don't know.
I
Oh,
mean,
okay. So you're choosing that she don't go to the Phantom Zone.
Like I said, I don't know the details of if she did if they had all this evidence, yet she just bypassed it, like uh our vice president has done with many people in California, black men, uh, just bypass it, look past that, and continue to prosecute them. Then that's different. But if she didn't do that and she just went off based off what she knows and doesn't have all the evidence, maybe got it later and still didn't maybe do something to try to get them kids out, that's a problem for me.
but
If she,
but this is the
but
problem.
I don't, like I said, I don't know if she had all the information that we currently have now, and then
Well,
she still said,
I
"F
want
that."
to.
It's still going.
Well, I want to add something to that. They showed that there was a sole contributor to the DNA evidence, which was semen, right? And after Reyes's confession in 2002, Fairstein still maintained that the wrongfully convicted teenage boys were guilty, and she lauded the police investigation as brilliant. So that means that there is some blood on her hands there. These guys spent time in prison.
Yeah, but in 2003, they was that case was done in 2003.
That's when
She,
they
you,
found
But
out
you,
about it. Doesn't make
here's
any
the
she's
sense.
thing too.
talking about
Okay.
after the fact. Of course,
See, here's the thing too.
she don't want to admit she's wrong after the fact.
Right.
Nobody wants to admit they wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because now it makes them look bad. But everybody knows you dead wrong. So hearing what you said, my man, yes, I guess what is the Phantom Zone? Please explain the Phantom Zone to me. I
Yeah,
don't know
what
what
is
the
the
fuck that
Phantom
is.
Zone? Explain that to us. You get a
They need to
lot.
go to
You
prison.
DCX
Yeah,
with us a lot, Rush.
Rush, we have a very tenuous grasp as to what the Phantom Zone is. Can you provide some clarity, please?
Okay, yeah, okay. Now, all right. Y'all ever heard of Superman, right?
DC Comics, like I
Word
said.
up. All right. Now, you heard of General Zod, the dude that was wilding out. You know what I mean? Well, he got judged by the Kryptonian Council, which would be us making these decisions that
Yeah,
they need to be sent to the Phantom Zone.
yeah,
This is the premise of the show. You
I
heard?
got it. Yeah, I
Word
got it.
up.
Right. She
Word
could
up.
go for sure. She need to be on the
Well,
first thing smoking for that
I
go.
guess you need to go with that
Yeah, she
information.
got to go to the
You
Phantom
go to the
Zone. You
Phantom
heard?
Zone. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah.
But
Here's the thing. Can I
go
make
ahead.
a comment real quick? Because I gotta drop off in a minute. The thing is with attorneys, particularly like prosecutors and stuff like that, if they have to maintain a certain conviction rate. You know what I mean? And that like their record and stuff like that of how many convictions they get, how many cases they try, and how many cases they actually get convicted, like that helps them advance in their career. It helps them get like pay raises. It helps them. They're incentivized to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
they
hold on,
can
hold on. So
really
you said
care
they got to
less.
meet a quota. They got to meet a
Right.
quota every time they work.
Exactly. So they can care less whether the guys are really guilty or not. It don't matter. The bottom line is this is the crime that's been committed. These are the guys that we got. They say they did, that it's speculated that they did it. So now we got to get all the evidence or whatever we got to get this conviction. Because I need a promotion. I don't, or whatever her career aspirations were. And it's unfortunate, but a lot of lives get messed up because people are just trying to advance in their career. And so, yeah, for that, she need to go to the Phantom Zone.
I agree with you, Shushu. She gotta go. Yo,
Right.
yo, Foxy, what's good? I want to get your perspective, y'all.
Hold on, okay. Give me one sec. Mom.
See,
Mom.
Mill's in the building. But I don't know. I'm just getting in here, so I don't know what the premise of the conversation was. But if we're talking about sending people to the firing zone, there's a lot of people that we can send on the strength of social injustice as relates to people of color. I'm assuming that's what this conversation is about.
Central
And
Park
so,
5.
yeah, I'm very familiar.
Mm.
But why aren't we holding a lot of other people's feet to the fire? Why is this just now, years down the line, we just want to go ahead and put her on the cross? Because what's the motivation here? Because what we do know, nothing's going to happen with that. We're just only bringing up, we're just regurgitating and opening up old wounds for something and for people that may never be able to get to heal. But if there is any level of resolve to something, that's just like synonymous to the lady that accused the poor Emmett Till of such heinous acts. She went to her deathbed never being persecuted for her heinous acts. And but what we do is continue to keep reliving these things. And so it allows people to have, room to, I don't know if it's an emotional pull. I don't know what the motivation is with this. Why Black people do these things. But we've got to stop doing that. We've got to get out of the habit of, and it's just like with the whole new Color Purple movie that's coming out Christmas on Christmas Day. I am so anti that because it's like you're continuing to perpetuate or continuing to put in the face of people that have went through such atrocities of accounts. I don't want to keep reliving that. It's about going forward. It's not about keep reliving the past. And what you do is a you open up the door for people, oncoming people, to say, well, if that happened, let me just continue to do that to you then. And B, people you continue to be victimized by that. So it can go both ways, but it's not going to work out either way. So it's a lose-lose situation. We have got to stop this.
Um, I have something to say in response to that.
Yep.
When I see movies like The Color Purple, I don't look at it as like we're reliving trauma and that's all that's going on. I think that that's being descendants of slaves is probably the most consequential part of my existence as a person, right? So we have to tell our story, and that's the greatest hero story ever told. We have the most powerful white supremacist caste system the world has ever seen in America, and the height of that story starts there. So there's nothing wrong with telling those stories.
And I want
I
to just
mean,
also I want to rebut that too
okay,
because you just made a pertinent statement.
okay.
We have
I
the
wasn't
most
finished, but go ahead.
white supremacy, and you can finish, but I
Okay,
don't want to forget that. I'm going to get
okay,
my notes out too.
okay.
But you said that what we have is a white supremacist, and please tell me what that last piece was. But either way, it was guarded by white supremacy. It was nothing that was basically constructed by or even made a part of by Black people. It's something that you put white supremacy in the forefront of historical artifacts, and that I think that you made a mistake in that because you have to separate. And this is the thing, and you just really made my argument because we have got to stop saying things like, "Well, this was a white supremacist cast. This is brought to you by white supremacists." But what has been brought to you by the Blacks? We've got to stop putting ourselves in such a category as because we've done that so much. And so you kind of walked yourself into that. You get what I'm saying? And Ja, you get what I'm saying with that, Ja?
I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm hearing what you're saying. You're
I'm just
saying that I'm adapting a victimhood mentality. Is that kind of what it is?
because but then you also give credit to,
Well,
so
well, I just want to finish. Maybe you'll understand what I'm saying if I could
okay.
just finish.
Yes.
White supremacy exists. I didn't create it. It's not something that I'm just, grasping at straws for. This country is built on a caste system. All I'm trying to say is if we start looking at stories about our pain and our trauma and the injustice that we've suffered in this country, that's an erasure of history. Then you start to sound like the people who want to block AP African American Studies classes and stuff like that. And it doesn't sound like that at first, but they could put some sauce on it. They'll say, "Oh, we don't want to relive trauma. We don't want to be victims. It's not about being victims. It's about telling a story." And
Yeah.
you have to highlight the injustice if you have a justice claim. The
Mm.
same way as if a Jewish person brings up the Holocaust. I'm not gonna be like, you know what? Why you keep trying to relive the trauma and bring that up? No, that's their history. That's their lineage. They're telling their story. So if we bring that back to uh, this woman, what's her Feinstein? This woman, it's been found that she was wrong. She fell short of what she was supposed to be doing. I don't care if it's 100 years from now. She's still there to be held accountable for it. We should hold her accountable. She's writing best-selling books. She's still shitting on the guys after they were proven to be innocent, not from hearsay. They only have DNA evidence from one person that admitted to the crime. If she would have just admitted that, oh, I made a mistake, it was wrong, they made me believe this, that's a little bit more defensible. But somebody who's still just ready to die with the lie, I'm
Mm.
not comfortable with that. It's just like the lady who lied about Emmett Till whistling at her, and she got to live a long, prosperous life and
Yeah.
then get out of here with no repercussion for that. We can't
Can I
wait on
ask you a
karma
question?
to
Can I ask you a
Yeah, yeah, she got away with murder, man. Know what I mean?
question?
we can't
Basically,
do
but
that.
can I ask? Can I
Okay, go ahead.
ask a question? By
Sure.
definition of today, what do you and scratch that? But by definition, what is the term white supremacy? What does that mean?
Uh, I'll put it in my words. I'm sure we could look up a textbook definition so we could, agree on it. It's a good question to ask. I think white supremacy is when you're trying to keep black people in a certain place. You want white people to be over black people. You know, there should be a structure to it.
So
Black people
systemic.
should have
What's the
certain
matter?
jobs. Yeah, it's a
Right.
systemic thing, injustice,
So we
disparities. Yeah.
right. So we can agree that there was a time in American history that white supremacy did exist, opposed to what it is today.
No, it still exists now, but there's degrees of it. I'm going to
I
say
think
that things have gotten a lot better since the time of slavery.
that
But
today we
yeah,
live in a class of elitism opposed to white supremacy. And I think a lot of people
mm,
get those two misconstrued because blacks have the opportunities allotted to them just like anybody else in society. Now, maybe there are social issues that still have remnants of past of white supremacy,
yeah.
but nevertheless, black people still have rights today that they didn't have the yesteryears. And
White
I
supremacy.
say that to say this, and
Okay.
it's not to take up for any entity, but I think that we kind of get in our own way sometimes, getting these two variables misconstrued.
Okay.
So
Well,
there was
there's
a time that white supremacy did exist, and it existed very well, because we had the Reconstruction era, which is Jim Crow, things of that sort. You were able to be able to make it out of because the whole premise of Jim Crow Reconstruction era is like if you were a sharecropper, it was to keep you indebted to the person that you were lending that were lending you the home, their land, and things of that sort. That's what that was then. And so it was hard for you to be able to get out of that. So you were forever indebted. You would always still have a level of bondage, if you will. Today, that's different. What happens now is by choice. What type of life you want to live for yourself is the things that can keep many people in bondage. And we just cannot blame that on white supremacy. We cannot blame that on a systemic structure. It is the way in which you choose to live your life. Okay. So, with that in mind,
Wait a minute. Hold on.
yeah. Take your
Before you
time.
say that, right? I want to get Foxy's perspective
sure.
after I say this.
Yeah.
Now, are you saying that systemic racism is not a real thing within the court system?
No, it within the court system, if we want to talk about that, for sure. I'm not saying that it's just been depleted altogether, but what I'm saying is that there are opportunities allotted to blacks in America than it was in the yesteryears. And so what we have to stop doing is using these terms, which it victimizes yourself. That's what I'm saying. Because none of us that's on this panel are victims of white supremacy. None of us.
I
We haven't
just
experienced that, and so we can stop it. We've had ancestors that had to go through such atrocities in order for us to be able to be in a place that we're in right now. So if you continue, and what our ancestors wouldn't want us to do is keep talking about that. Yeah, like you said, y'all, keep it alive, but keep it alive by your own tongue, meaning your own black tongue, and not what you said earlier, the white supremacist tongue.
I
Don't let them write your story. You
I
tell your story, and you say it in such a way.
Yo, hold on. We got to give
You
Foxy
say
a
it,
turn
hold
to
on,
say
but you
so.
say it in such a
okay.
way that it gives, a level of impact, and not a level of victimhood. That's my point.
Where, yo, Joe, before you go ahead
Yeah,
and let
go ahead.
Foxy say something.
Let me
Yo,
say.
Foxy, go ahead.
Yeah.
Give us.
Um, you know, I hear a lot of everything I'm listening to, and I feel that white, so-called white supremacy is non-existent. It's more of us being inferiority to them, and this is why they have these outbursts and outbreaks, and they're trying to do so much to try to keep their lineage going because they know that time is winding down for them. But I did want to point out really quickly this Neely situation, because for many people who don't know or don't live in New York City, um, what has happened is that they have taken the rights away for people who are suffering through mental health, people who are suffering from things that can't really jive functionally throughout the day. And so the city rather, has taken these programs away, and so now you have homeless children, young adults, fending for themselves. And Master Young Neely was one of the children who had to go to court to fight against his mother's boyfriend because he locked the mother in a suitcase in the projects. So at an early age, to know that now your mom has been brutally destroyed, and then now to turn around and send him to whatever courts that are needed, I can only understand that this young man probably didn't have the right channels in forms of grief. And when we want to talk about the so-called Black community, well, where are they? Because clearly they failed their one. There's a child here who was grieving help. It made news that his mother was slumped up in a uh, vacationing bag. And so this young man didn't have the footing to take care of himself the right and proper way. And so, dancing was his life. And yes, he made money off of that. But, after a while, us New Yorkers will turn a blind eye to five other people who come in with the sob story of, I'm hungry, my children need to eat, and whoop de whoop. And so we're incensed by it. We really kind of like brush it off like, all right, and for those, sometimes we, maybe perfect storm is that we do have a little bit of money or we have some leftover food and we are gracious enough to give it to them. I have a case in point, and I will die my plane down. Went to Starbucks and I had ordered some food from my daughter, my teenage daughter, and this young man comes in, and I had my headphone on really loud, and I knew murmuring through his mouth he was asking for food, and I'm just like, I want to deal with it today. Um, but no, lo and behold, he finally got up to me. He says, "Ma'am, do you have any money?" So I put my headphones down and I said, "Excuse me, sir?" And he says, "Do you have any money?" I said, "No, I don't, but I'll tell you this. You buy whatever it is that you want on the panel and I'll pay for it." Why'd I do that? But he did, and he was respectful. And he was disshuffled. He looked like he could have been on drugs, but he looked like he woke up out of somebody's place. Like he really didn't look the stereotypical homeless person, but he definitely looked like he probably left some friend's house and got up and wanted to get something to eat. And so when he was ordering his drink, I turned to him and I said, "Well, what kind of drink did you get?" And he smiles and he says, "I got the big chocolate, da 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 da." I said, "All right." And I said, "You behave yourself. You be good." And he says, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." Got his food, and that was that. And that was my story.
Mm.
But you definitely need to watch and make an assessment when you're talking to these, because there's two differences here in New York City. You have the full on, I don't care, give me a banana and I will eat it. And then you have the full on, don't give me a banana. I want like $5 so I can get high. We really need to use our discernment when we're dealing with these people.
Now, before you say something, John, I'm gonna say this to Foxley. Now, do you think like the city need to create a job where they can monitor these homeless people? Because some of these people they got like mental illness, you know, and it's hard to deal with them when you on your own in them subways like that. I mean,
They do have, and I can step in for that. They do have resources for homeless communities, and it's just all about whether or not they choose to take that or not. It's not like there's no opportunities for them. They can be right around the corner from an agency that offers, various help for them, but they'll go right down the street, panhandle, and do other things. But because that's just what their lifestyle is in that moment, and that's because they choose to be there. And some people don't choose to be there because mental health is a thing, and we have to break the stigma and that it's not, especially in our community. And that's which I'm such a huge advocate for. But if you consider such things of mental health care a taboo, then that's something that you're not going to seek. There's other communities such that don't adhere to that as well. It's not just Black community. It's not just communities of color. The Italian communities are huge. The Latino community is huge on not seeking this help. But what happens is that there is a thing called comorbidity, which is basically a dual diagnosis. Like you may be suffering from mental health along on top of having a drug addiction or alcohol addiction. And so when you make those two, when you combine the two, then you have such disparities that's going on in the community, and they're not getting treated for that. And so that's why behaviors start to come about. It's not because that they want to be in this state. It's just that they don't have the know-how to be able to get help to get out of that state. They know where to go, where they can be able to get such community resources, but that's just where it goes. That's where the buck stops in most cases. They can go places where they can get their medication. They can go places where they can have a caseworker to be able to help them navigate through certain things that they need. But if it's not innately in you to want to take care of yourself, then it's just not going to be possible. And especially when the time lapses, when you have such, you get older and these things are steadily just, forming and forming and forming and forming, then it's kind of like a zero to no chance at times. So it's like those people that's on the train station in New York. That's a high, and you got to understand, high economics brings in poverty as well. So if you have a place, if you live in a community where the economic system is extremely high, and a person cannot take, you can have a person that was a middle class, even upper middle class, but you cannot sustain the lifestyle in which you were living in a community such as New York. that you can be homeless. You can easily be homeless. To New York, to California, to LA. These things happen. It's not uncommon to see a person that was, well with themselves, well to do with themselves, end up falling beneath the poverty line because of the system. And that's what we need to take account of, is what's going on systemically. It's not the person sometimes. What happens is that you can beat a person down so bad in life to where it does raise such a disparities in a person's mental. And that is what we got to get to. These are the things we can't just blame them, because before they were there, what were they before they got there? You also have to understand a lot of us comes from military backgrounds. Um, and what happened when they came from Vietnam? What happened with them? A lot of people were able to restore themselves. A lot of people weren't. But that was because you have the weakened systems such as VA that they were only dependent upon to help them through a lot of these things. No, it takes more than that. Now there's some people that are able to get out of there, but if you really had to go through some things in while you were out there, there's a lot of things that happened out there. I know what happened out there. I have family members that were there. So, and I understand what some of my family members had to go through and what it took for them to overcome these things. But a lot of people don't get that opportunity. And it's not because that they don't want to. It's just what is presented for them. If you don't have a support system, then that is a huge factor that would just, have a person fall beneath the surface.
Where I feel you on that. Yo, John, my bad, man. Go ahead, do your thing, man. I know you
Oh, I
wanted to
was just
say.
saying, I would agree
Go
with a
ahead.
lot of things that she was saying. She was speaking to some systemic disparities, and that's kind of the page that I was on, and it was interesting because I felt like you were saying that people complaining about things like that were adopting a victimhood mentality, but it seemed like we could both agree that there are systemic injustices. Now,
I'm
I
talking
would
about
wait.
people like us. I'm not talking about those people out there that are sleeping up under bridges, because you have to really be at
Well,
a low point in your mental stamina
uh,
to be able to sleep up under a bridge,
well,
to be
well.
able to pick food out. Hold on, to be able to pick food out of a trash,
Hold it.
be able to have to live up under a tent outside, to have to panhandle for money, and for it to not even go towards the cause that you initially said, because deception is all part of survival, right? So I'm going to tell you that I need money for food, but I know I'm going to need money for that liquor, for that beer, or maybe to get myself some
Mhm.
dope or something. But I'm going to tell you that because this is part of my survival. Me being drugged up is a part of my survival because of my circumstances that we may not be privy to. But what we do know is that that person is out there. And so if you're not in the business of understanding human behavior, then it won't be so easy for you to have that level of empathy in regard for that. But what I say for people like you and I, John, is that we do know, because we can sit on a platform and talk about these things, and we cannot be victimized by it. Those people out there, they're not victims either. They're not victims either, in a sense to where that there's not a ability for them to change. It's they're a victim in their own mind, not systemically, because there are opportunities, there are resources for them. But if you're so far gone in that, if you're so far gone in your trauma and all these things, then you are a victim of that. I'm not saying that, but if we are people and we are survivors of circumstances in life, then what does it befit us for those people that is out there, if we're going to just talk about things of the past, if we're not doing anything to promote changes for the future? That is what I'm saying. That's what my argument is here, Jock. It's not to talk about that the past didn't exist, because we know that already. So what's next? What are we going to do going forward? I don't want to keep on hearing. I don't want to keep reading. I don't want to keep watching something that has already been regurgitated from hundreds of years ago as it relates to American history. Because if that's the case, we can say that for many different races, because we're not the only
Well,
one that these
well,
atrocities happen
if,
to.
if if I could just get in there, there's a lot of stuff to talk about, and I think that it'll help us, it'll serve us if we could just talk about one thing at a time. Because sometimes we start jumping around. First thing was the white supremacy thing. I was told that white supremacy is a myth. You know, it's not really going on. It hasn't been here for a while. Well, in 2010, they were talking about 77 people being killed by the hands of white supremacists, and that's coming from the FBI. There's insider articles on it. It's New York Times articles on it. The FBI actually says that white supremacists pose the primary threat to lethal domestic terrorism. And when I could describe it better now, extremists driven by the belief of the superiority of the white race, that's what a white supremacist is. They're out here. And when we
For
speak
sure.
about
You know what they're called? You know what they're also called, Jaw? Race soldiers. And so we
that,
do know what they
that's
are
why
by
I just
government.
wanted to finish because I ain't gonna
But no,
be too long.
I get what you're saying. We're on the same page, Jaw. I think
I
that we're
just
saying the
wanted to
same
finish
things,
and
but we're having to we have to just kind of iron out some of these creases with each
yeah,
other. Get
I
away.
just wanted to
So
finish though. You were speaking for a
I
while
get it.
and
I get it.
I was letting you go and
I
I
know
just
I'm a
wanted
bit long winded. I apologize.
yeah, I
But
just wanted to
what
finish.
Yo,
I'm
he
saying,
just let him finish real quick.
I
Yeah,
say this
just
because I thought that he was
okay.
finished. That's why when he took a breath, I thought I was going to be able
No,
to come in.
I kept
Yeah,
saying
but
it.
just let him finish.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to say that about the white supremacy. So it's rooted in reality. I want to say that. And about uh when I hear us talk about homeless people, I won't be long with this. Let's be careful not to fall into the availability heuristic. Sometimes we have a tendency to make judgments that are influenced by what springs most easily to mind. So we start giving anecdotal instances. Like we'll talk about a story with a homeless person that we know or what we see on the subway. But if we're going to make judgments about groups of people, we should really be looking at statistical data that will tell us more. A lot of times homeless people are not homeless forever. It's like a temporary thing. A lot of them are not violent. A lot of them are not dirty. It's a lot of different reasons why somebody could end up being homeless. So we don't want to make we don't want to paint with a broad brush when it comes to that. You know, the
Oh,
unhoused
really now,
community.
John? I thought we were on the same page with that, but continue. I'm listening. You got my
I'm just
attention.
saying we don't want to make too much of an assumption from small sample sizes. Is all I'm saying when it comes to the homeless community. Because we've been talking a lot about them like they're all the same, you know, and they're not. They're not a monolith. That's all I'm saying.
Right, right. There's different types of
Yeah, and
homeless people.
it's
You know
not
what I
always
mean?
forever. It could be just a
A temporary thing. You know
exactly, you know.
what I mean?
But you make some good points.
Word up. I think this was a good
Yeah,
show. Know what I
yeah,
mean? I'm about to kill it. So
yeah.
What can we say? What's the conclusion of this? Because like let's give a conclusion of this by you, Rush. What would you say, like for all the people that's been on here on the panel, and
Yeah,
salute to everyone who's here. I
yeah,
hate that I missed it, but I
yeah,
think that all of you had beautiful perspectives. I wish
yeah,
I was a part of that.
yeah.
Um, but what do you think? Ultimately,
ultimately, I think people should have a little bit more empathy towards one another.
Mhm.
It's because it's not cool just to kill somebody just because they're acting pretty rude. Know what I mean,
Or they're
and
homeless. Mhm.
two, I think people that work in the court system should be uh, more diligent when they trying to solve a case because I don't want to see nobody get put behind bars for something that they didn't for a crime that they didn't commit.
Cause you
Know what I
trying
mean?
to hit a quota or something.
Right, right, right. And I mean, if this is true, that's crazy, man. Because now it's this that system is designed for you to move in an evil light. I mean, and that needs to be changed. If it's true.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Rush, I also would notion that maybe going in the future, because you did talk about some pertinent things as it relates to the some disparities in our social environments, right? First of all, the legal system is very, very corrupt, and we understand that, and we have some people that are taking a stance against that. But I don't. I'm tired of seeing things on such a broad way that we're Black people can easily get co-opted by something. You know what I'm saying? Let's just do
Let me just say this, Eve. Like, as a black man in America, I need to move a certain way because shit could go left real
yeah.
quick. I just had to say it like
But you know what? I'm not.
that.
I'm not saying for you. Listen, you can. We're all activists in our own right. The fact that we're getting up here and talking about this, you have a platform to be able to speak. Nobody's saying that you have to be boots on the ground. Your boots on the ground could be your platform, and we can bring things to light. It doesn't mean that you have to get out there and be this massive person, a Martin Luther King, a Malcolm X, or anything of that sort. But I think that we do our community a disservice if we don't bring such things to the forefront. And so having these conversations while they are uncomfortable, while they are dangerous, I think that we can be comfortable enough to be okay with doing that. But because what are we if we don't even make any contribution? I'd rather have a half something than not a half of anything. Okay. So don't be afraid to speak on matters as it relates to this social injustices of them that in the back, in the front, in the backyard in which you reside, you know. And so everybody's not going to have it like this. We have family members that are in different economic states than we are, that are in a different class than we are in, you know. And so we still have an obligation for those very people that don't have that opportunity to get up here and speak as eloquently as we can, but we still have to think about those people. So if I have to think about those people, meaning my own bloodline, that means that I have to think about other people from beyond. And that's what this is about. We have to do something. I don't want to just be a person that's just sitting here talking about it. I don't also have to be a boots on the ground person, but my contributions to my community and to society has already sealed itself because I've educated myself in that regard, you know. But I think that there's always more that we can do, and I'm here for it. And I love to see this shade of black all in one room saying something. That means a lot.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Hey, yo, it means a lot to me too, Eve, man. You know, like, and you're right. I mean, if there's something wrong, you should speak up
Exactly.
about it. You know what I mean? And you're
Sure.
right. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I want to get everybody's final thoughts before I kill this show. You heard?
Uh,
So, starting with you. Well, starting with you, John. Go ahead.
oh well, I just said, man. I really appreciate the feedback. I'm gonna take it on board. I'm gonna adjust my beliefs to where the weight of the evidence lies, and
Mm.
until the next time, guys. I guess my final words I'll say is, you know, it's important. No, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice.
That's
It's
right,
a good
John.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Foxy.
Me, I don't know if you know who that guy is, that kid guy, Joey Badass. You familiar with him?
I'm familiar.
Yeah.
You give me Joey Badass.
Who,
You look
me?
just like him. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, okay. You know, I don't get that many celebrity lookalikes, but I'll take that as a compliment.
And that's not a bad thing at
All
all.
right,
Okay,
unique.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. We'll have to build on that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Word up. Word up. Yo,
Yeah.
Foxy. What's your final thoughts on this, man? Talk to me.
I came in late on it, but I think that we should all be assessing ourselves with mental health. We're going through a lot. The social media gives us a great platform to parade around and put up facades like everything is everything, and that's fake reality. If we can get groups, and don't be afraid to look out for getting mental health or counseling, talk therapy, because you just don't know what these people are going through, what any one of us is going through on the panel. And just try to be as easy as possible with them. I know that they can be a little irate. I had witnessed one, and I said, look, he looked like he was on drugs. I said, well, order something from Starbucks. And I got it from him. I said, but I'm not giving you any money, because at some point we know who to give the money to, who is really looking for food. And so while I'm doing that, then he's going to ask for the next person, and people kind of get, their skin tightened on, and they don't want to deal with it anymore. They don't want to have to keep giving out. So this is a vicious cycle. They've cut a lot of the funds here in New York City for that, with the help of the homelessness, and so it's a very sad world, and that part. But there, I have no one solution. I have no one answer that can fix it all. I just know where I can help if I'm allowed by God to do so, and do my part and keep it moving. I'm not harming anybody, but this was a travesty. It was disgusting. The white boy will probably do, a minimum of whatever. He'll be charged with manslaughter, and the other two
Probation.
caught on acting in concert because they held his arms and his legs down. So that's how.
Word up, word up. I appreciate your final thoughts, Foxy. Yo, Eve, what's good? Let me get your final thoughts.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. And let me just say this. Let's stop marginalizing each other. Let's stop marginalizing us, because it's like we already know that we already live in a society of marginalization, right? Well, we don't need to keep regurgitating. We can go outside of that maze, because it's like a maze. Because in a maze, while it can maybe some complex pieces of being able to get out of that, you can, however, be able to get out of it, right? You're not just in a closed in box, right? So there is a way. So we're not completely marginalized. There are aspects of being able to see something else outside of what we've been trapped in. It feels like, right? So with that, I just say this: think big, want more. And for those that aren't in a position, let us be that vessel. Let us be a vessel for those people.
But do you believe, Eve, that we need more outlets? Because it feels like, all right, you got the Parks Department has, some pools there. They have the basketball, but we need back to the music and arts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And let me just tell you, as a Black clinician in Kansas City, it is in the Kansas City metro area. There's not enough of us. It's not a lot of Black clinicians, period. And so we are totally outnumbered in that regard. So when you see people like us coming in, and we welcome that next generation of people that look to take this profession, because it's not enough of us for people to resonate with. People want to walk in and see people that they can resonate with, right? And so just lending to your point, Foxy, as it relates to being able to have some getting back to things that is going to make sense, and what can we do for one another. And if they see these types of things, well, you have to see yourself in a person first. And so if you're taking things away from people,
Mhm.
then how do you expect them to trust? They've got to have something that they can trust. You know what, that recreational center down there on 125th was something that they understood, because those Black people were there to make sure that that was able to happen, right? But you're taking these things from these people in these communities that have been there. You're taking culture, you're taking a way of life from people, and you're not replacing it with the same people that look like them. And that is so sad, and it's disheartening to see. But what I'm saying is this: is like, we've got to do something. Like, I don't care, and I'm not speaking about people that intentionally do things to not want to do well for themselves, because lending it to job. Everybody's not homeless because because they made bad decisions in life. It's not just that, but there are people in the hole that they feel like they can't get out because they don't feel that they have the resources to do it. It's like you're out of the pan, right back in, out the pot, right back into a frying pan.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is for some people. And that's what I said, and that's why I made the analogy as it relates to the maze. Because while we have that little thin uh, exit, it may be so many compartments that you have to go through to get there. But never mind how you got to get there. And this is just a testament to people that feel like they can't go on, not the people that are already there, because it lends to them too. But there's some people that are so far gone. But if I can be a voice and say, listen, never mind how you get there, the roads may be the road may be windy. Doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there and don't give up. Because a lot of people gave up because society beat them down so bad. And so what we can do, let's start saving people. If we can do that, let's start saving these people. And if we can help the people that are already down, we can do that as well. But let's start saving people first. And I agree with you, Foxy. We do need to start bringing things in the forefront that is going to give a sense of community to people. Absolutely, especially New York. Oh, it was such a hub for cultures, for blacks, Hispanics, and to be all in the 5 boroughs. You saw them; they were there with one another. They took that. I was in Harlem, in New York, all through the boroughs a couple of years ago. There's a lot of them, a lot of those basketball courts that are shut down. If you go in those basketball courts over there through Dykeman, out there in Harlem, why y'all shut these basketball courts down? This is what they do. And through Queens, why did you do that? Great point, Foxy. Because that's where a lot of people were able to blow off steam too, where you can get a sense of community and stuff with one another. But I say all that to say this too. We can't keep blaming everything on the system. We have our faults to bear as well. Okay? Because if folks weren't sitting up there getting gunned down at the basketball court, then maybe we will still have a basketball court to be able to go to. Okay? So we can't just sit up here and just say one thing is this and then not talk about that. I'm not going to be that type of black. I'm not that type of black.
No.
Okay?
No.
You got to hold your people accountable. And that's the whole message of it. It's not about self-hating. It's not about that at all. It's about holding people accountable. But it doesn't sound good when it's coming from somebody that looks like you, huh?
You right.
Because,
you right.
I
I won't be too long with it, but there is a limit to personal accountability. And the way I heard it described is a metaphor. If you see kids jumping out of a burning building from the window to their death, the insanity would be to say the problem is they're jumping out of the window. Nobody's worried about the fire, who started the fire, how we extinguish the fire, how do we prevent fires moving forward. We just so focused on the kids jumping out the window.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way I try to look at it, you know.
I agree. Good job, John. Joey Badass.
AKA Unique. Yo, you killing that Gumby, man.
Killing that Gumby, isn't he?
Word up. Fly as a kite. All right, man. This show's over. I'll catch y'all on the next round. Definitely hit y'all up for the next one.
Peace.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all.
And you know I would never walk out on you. I just was only playing with you. I would never walk. I would never leave you if you didn't let me up, okay? I love you, Rush. I love you.
Yeah, I love you too, girl. All right.
All right. Peace.
Rush, salute. Peace to the panel.
I ain't find you. I didn't find you on IG. I'm not on there, but I left my email though. You can find me on
You can see this picture right here. It looks like that. You can find me on there. It looks like that.
I promise I did. I just put it in, but I don't be on IG. I'm on YouTube.
I don't know if you got me.
You on YouTube?
Yeah, that's it right there. That's yeah. Don't put the JA at the end. That's me right there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm putting it in. I wrote it down the way it is there. I just didn't pump up.
That Gumby is fire. Okay.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna keep it.
About like you really rocking it. Where are you from?
I'm in Broward.
You in where?
Broward County, Florida.
Oh, you down in Florida? Okay.
Yeah.
Florida.
That's where I know Rush from.
Where are you in? West Palm Beach? What are you?
Broward is a little bit north of Dade and just south of West Palm Beach. So we're in the middle. We're in the
so you just cut off your freeways, huh?
cut off my freeways.
Yeah, you know y'all wear them those Maddie locks and stuff down there. Them like 3
Oh no,
locks.
I never got into that. I
Okay,
never
you
got
didn't.
into that. All my homeboys got dreads, goals, bullet holes, but I just
Okay,
sidestepped all of that. I ain't do it.
okay, good. Well, but that Gumby, like keep that Gumby though, man, because like that's keep it
I
alive.
appreciate it.
If you want to bring back black, if you want to talk about Black history, wear that. Okay,
That's why I brought it. It's a classic style to me. It's
and
timeless.
I got a classic style.
I noticed that.
You know what I'm saying?
A little
We vibing,
Afrocentric.
right? We
Yeah,
vibing, right?
yeah. You got a YouTube channel?
Not anymore. I don't.
Oh, you a natural. You got to get back into
I
that.
don't. Raz girl, I love you to the moon and back.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I love you,
Yeah.
girl. But listen, I know that Rush has got to go.
Yeah.
This would like. Do you want to stay on here with me for a little longer, Josh? I'm feeling like you don't want to let me go.
You know what? I could probably stay on here all night, but I actually do got to make a run. I was supposed to be gone in like 40 minutes, and I got to run an errand before I lay it down.
And well, lay it down, lay it
I
down.
left my info in there though.
Lay it down. And the beautiful Foxy Moon. Are you familiar with Foxy Moon?
No, this is my first time. It's been a pleasure though.
Like
I'm gonna
she's
comment
gorgeous.
on the video so
Isn't
everybody
she
see where I'm at.
gorgeous? She's so beautiful, isn't she? Have you
Yeah.
ever followed her page?
No,
No,
I
you said
haven't. I'm gonna get connected with everybody from here. I'm gonna comment on the video.
she's Foxy Moon. Her page is Foxy Moon. Okay.
Yeah. Fox.
And her readings are on point. So if you're into spirituality, that's where you need to be, okay? Because we all about spirituality over here, okay?
Yeah.
We don't do all that other stuff. Amen.
Yeah. That's what's up.
And I said amen. Look at that.
She muted. She don't even see it. But I'm gonna let y'all go, man. It's been a pleasure.
Foxy can't hear you, baby. We can't hear you. Gotta unmute your mic, baby.
You gotta unmute yourself.
Sorry, baby. Sorry, baby. I do not do any rituals or spells and love casting and all that bullshit.
That's right.
I don't do that. It's about what you can do in life and what your angel, ancestor, spirit guide wants you to move in life. Your love life, that's on your own.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm
And
sorry.
it's so real. Like it's so real. Like when you go over there, like she's usually on in the daytimes, like Wednesdays, Mondays is her days. Like when you really catch her over there and everything, and she's just giving it all she got. Her and there's another one that do the same thing. Lotus Flower Bomb, another beautiful soul. Like if you ever find her over there too, I love that. It's a refreshing part of YouTube. We need more of that. We need to be able to, and all the riffraff in the world, we need to come back to a place where we can recenter.
Yeah,
and so,
we need to have like a real station like set up sometime. Just get like a real station of us just vibing together and getting some good juicers and just sitting back and just chilling, kicking it
absolutely
on some real time, because social media is great. It's a blessing and it's a curse, but it definitely helps you weed out who really are the the agents and things like that, and you can get rid of them faster.
Absolutely. And I love that. And we're going to get out of here. But before we go, I also want to send a beautiful farewell to the beautiful Miss Tina Turner as she transitioned to the next phase of her cosmic journey.
Queen of rock and roll, 83 years old. She had a good run.
Yeah. Wasn't Ike Turner 73 when he passed? That's crazy. But anyway, I know you got to go, John.
Yeah.
Peace and blessings to you.
Peace,
I'll see you.
Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. Foxy, I love you so much. Rush, thank you so much for this opportunity. I love you, baby. Everybody, Raz Girl, everybody that showed up tonight, thank you so much. And we'll see you again next time.
Peace.